Okay, hello and welcome everybody. We're working on getting you set up to take your drone pilot's test as soon as possible. Um, you will want to kind of follow through in the steps in this video. Now, I'm going to be kind of limited in some as to what I can show you because I'm not completing the registration, but from my experience and what we've dealt with others, it's pretty self-explanatory once you get into it. The Part 107 exam is not one that's held at the school. You are going to have to provide transportation to one of these locations. If for some reason you cannot, this is something that we can discuss in the near future, so that way we can get your test. Okay, it was not working for me earlier, so I had to scrap everything and go back. But you can put in your zip code, but I just wanted to to show there's a lot of different testing centers available. I took mine at the RDU airport. We would be down here. I will tell you this: I have utilized this facility before. They do a pretty good job, and so I would certainly recommend them, depending on where you live. I mean, for a lot of us, that's probably actually the furthest location because, Overhills High School would be like here, so somewhere, or no, sorry, that's 401. We would be somewhere right in this region. So the Dark Angels Testing Center would most likely be the closest. There is a PSI service on Sycamore Dairy Road in Fayetteville, if you are more familiar with those areas. But again, the one that I have used, I've had good experience with. My partner for drones, Mario Malabanga, uses them, and they do pretty well. But we'll deal with that more in when I return. The first thing that you'll need, I can actually close this out for now. The first thing that you'll need is your flight tracking number, or FTN, and so you'll go and create a free account with the IACRA, or I call it ICRA. So if you hear me say that, so it's icra.faa.gov, and that should actually take you to this page. But if not, then /ICRA/default.aspx, and so then that'll take you to this page here. And so, like for me, I would log in, but unless you previously have an account with them, so like if you've already done like manned pilot's license, I don't think any of you fall in that category. You're just going to click register, and you are applying for, you would be the applicant, and I just want to cross check with that. Yes, and because then it's gets more specific whenever you start processing your exam, and but we'll hit that in just a second. You would agree to the terms, read through those. Certificate information, you do not have any, so you can just totally ignore this section. Personal information here. Name, suffix, of course, that's like if you are a junior, senior, in your name, like I grew up next to Jeff Banks Jr. and Jeff Banks Senior, so that'd be your suffix. They have all kinds of different ones listed here. Email address. Now the thing about this one, this is going to carry with you. So I'm going to say use your personal email. I was debating back and forth to the last possible moment, but use your personal email, because that after you're done with your time at Overhills High School, that you are going to continue to use. This is something that you would have to update at some point. So you could use your school email, but no, as soon as you are no longer a student at Overhills High, you need to make sure and update that email address. So the choice is yours, but I would actually stick with personal. It's one of the only times that I'm gonna say that. You got your security questions, create your username, password, confirm your password, and then you click register. Now once you click register, and this is the page that I'm not going to be able to show you if the registration is a success, then you will get your FTN. And make sure that you write that down. Make sure that you write that down, because then you're going to need it immediately for the following section, which has to do with your PSI account. So once you have your FTN, then the test management company that handles all of this is PSI True Talent, and you can find them here. So FAA.psiexams.com/FAA/verify. Let me see if no. So of course it's going to increase everything except the browser. But that is FAA.psiexams.com/FAA/verify. This would be your first step. You enter in your FAA tracking number, your first name, your last name. Make sure that your spelling matters here. Case text, all of that will matter, and then you click continue. Now I can't take you any further here without doing a lot of other work. So then you're just going to have to kind of follow along. I'll talk about this one in just a second. I'll go back up here. Cost of the test will be $175. By the way, this is from Drone Pilot Ground School that I'm following from. They have a lot of really good information. If it is something that you want to pursue, that you decide that you want to pursue later, I think it's like $200 or $300, to sign up for this program. They're the ones that I used to get my pilot's license. So great resource here. Once you log in, once you log into PSI here and you start filling out all that information, they're going to ask you for the test. The name of the test is Unmanned Aircraft General Small. Now, the main thing that I want you to do today is make sure that you can get into this portion. And if you can get into this portion, then you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. But it's a good idea. Go ahead, select Unmanned Aircraft General, and then follow through to until you get to the point where you actually start scheduling the dates. And then when you find those, when you go as far as to where you can actually schedule your test location and test time, I'll talk about that in just a minute. So authorization, you will see authorization category. You don't need that. Okay, so you can just yeah, okay, if I remember correctly, it shows up as none. And then also your number of attempts, even though you've never attempted the test before, if you read, it says including this attempt. And so since this is your first time taking the exam, you would select 1, and then you would go into scheduling the test. As far as selecting the times, so when it comes to testing and finding your times, you're going to be given selections. And what I would do, even though I've got the voucher numbers, I will give those to you when I get back. It is in your best interest to have your parents, or either parents, or if you can drive yourself, for you to go to these locations. find which ones that work for you. Go ahead and write down the location, write down the address, map out how long it would take you to get there. Make a little note about how long it would take you to get to these different locations. Find several dates and times, and go ahead and write those down, because what you will need to do is talk with whomever you need to. So like, especially because I've had this happen, especially people whose parents are going to have to take you. Talk with them, double check, triple check to make sure that you can make a particular date and time. They are available on Saturdays. Some of these locations I think are available on Sundays. I'm not entirely sure on that one. Don't quote me on that one. But make sure that you are available. Make sure that there's nothing that comes up, because once I give you the voucher and you schedule this test time, it is non-refundable for pretty much any circumstance. You would be talking about being in the morgue or in the hospital before you could possibly get one of these refunded. Sorry. But have those lists available, because especially those of you who are going to have like a parent drive you to a location. One of the first questions that they're going to ask is where and when. Okay, so you want to have a string of dates and times just ready that you can roll off and say, these are the places and time. That's it. On Wednesday we will log back in. We will log back into PSI. You select you select the test time, the location, and be ready with several of them that are okay, because these tests are only scheduled a maximum of 2 weeks in advance, and so what is available, what is available on Tuesday may not necessarily be available on Wednesday, and so that's why you want to have multiple times and dates that you can do this. If you have questions, shoot me an email. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you all on Wednesday. All right, one thing that I forgot to mention, so I wanted to go ahead and pull that in here real quick, is the percentage of the items on the test. So regulation, those are your straight up rules. How old do you have to be in order to get your 107 exam or license and so on. 15 to 25%. Airspace and airspace requirements. Now this is something that is new. This has changed. Because originally it was like 40 to 60% of the test. Now it's only 15 to 25%. Okay, that's your sectional chart, latitude, longitude, that kind of thing. Weather, dangerous conditions. Thunderstorm, most dangerous part of a thunderstorm. Mature stage. Make sure that you know that one. I've seen that in a lot of the sample tests. The weather, loading and performance. Okay, that's going to be just a handful of select questions here. So loading and performance, your load factor, figuring out what the maximum banking turn is, figuring out if if the maximum weight allowed is a certain amount. And you bank at a particular level, is it safe or not? And then lastly, operations. Operations is the big one, 35 to 45%. These are things like, when can you fly over people? When can you fly from a moving vehicle? Categories 1, 2, 3, and 4. They're really hitting this one pretty hard. Some of that is because that is new information. So make sure that you're aware of those. This little simulation that I have running here on the right, I took all of those percentages. I have them run them. I have them running kind of randomly, and just that way you can see. It's just going to be some combination thereof that makes the total be what it actually needs to be. I could get a lot more sophisticated in this, but it's just going to be some kind of combination of questions. Be ready for that. 25% of 60. That's 1/4, and so that's going to be like 15 questions. So you can expect 15 to 8 or so questions from each of these two categories, and and you can go through and kind of do the math. That's some stuff that we're going to talk about, but 25-ish or so questions are going to come from the operations. So be ready for that one. That's going to be probably one of the hardest ones, and that's one of the ones that we've spent the least amount of time on. So when it comes to your practice test, that would be what I hit the most, and that would be where we need to spend some time reviewing some more in the future. Again, if you have questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, I'll see you Wednesday.